My name is Camille Norment. I am a multimedia artist whose work thinks through sound. Sometimes it takes sound as a material form, but often it incorporates sound as a perspective. For example, the fact that sound doesn't move simply in one direction as sight does, but it's omnipresent. It moves in all directions at once. So in that sense, we can think of the benefit of being able to think in multiple directions at once. My work also aims to be both cognitive and somatic, so offering something that we can really think about in new ways, but also fundamentally just feel as an experience. The work is a wall sculpture made of brass tubing, and it hosts a dynamic, generative composition of voice and breath. It's a sculpture, but also an instrument. The instrumentation is actually multi-tiered. You have the voices themselves and the breaths, which are their own instruments, which are sounding through the instruments of the individual tubes or pipes. That collection of voices is also in collaboration with the acoustics of this specific space. So when I refer to the composition as generative, that means it's being produced in real time and it's continuous. It never ends, and there is no pre-existing composition that you can play back and have it repeat. It's definitely not a loop. I worked with 7 vocalists and recorded their voices in various forms, using those as source materials, as instruments that can be called based on certain parameters that I've given a software program to help me generate the composition in real time. So the composition exists as instructional form that is carried out by a software system. First, I have to say it's so exciting for me to be in this museum again. I have had a very long relationship with the museum. I was in freestyle that Thelma Golden curated a long time ago, 2001, in which I also produced a sound installation. When I was invited for a hard hat viewing of the space, it was still raw. But my task was to be present in a few spaces to try to determine which space I might want to put a work in. I think the stairwell was the last location that we visited. Already as a place of movement, as a place of passage, I was very drawn to it. But when we came to the landing on the 6th floor, and I saw this very arresting view straight south, I knew that this was the site that I would be collaborating with. I was already primed to really think reflectively about the view to the south. Immediately, I thought about the relationship between migration from the south to the north, and its very particular relationship within American history. There are also these migrations which are willful, but of course not willful as well. Diasporic migrations. Another contemporary condition is, unfortunately, the attempts to migrate from dire life situations to, for example, to enter into Southern Europe, for example, in which hundreds of people at a time would crowd onto very precarious, sometimes literally person-made rafts or blown-up plastic rafts, just for the hope of a better life. So when I mention diasporic migration, it's not meant as a nostalgia at all. It's meant as a pointing to historical realities, paradoxes, contemporary truths, the fact that this is still very much at play. So also with respect to migration is the expanded but still related notion of the quest or questing. I'm a big science fiction and speculative fiction fan, and Octavia Butler came to mind, especially with her writings about the journey, the quest through the individual, but also through the social journey and spiritual journey. So questing is the attempt to reach an unknown, and often that is idealized, someplace that you think you really want to get to, which is also part of the migration stories, the diasporic migration stories. So I was very fascinated with this relationship between the quest as an ideal, but also the real meeting of a real experience. So for example, once you get somewhere, what is it really like? Thinking again of the migration from the south to the north of the United States, this wonderful ideas of the north as a kind of, if not utopia, at least decidedly better place to be. But it brought its own new and devastating realities. And so a lot of that experiential reality is embedded in the composition itself through the choices of the resonant frequencies or the pitches that I selected to work with from the pipes that constitute both somewhat close to what we would call a pentatonic scale and frequencies related to what we would call blues notes, which are kind of flat, taking a note and flatting it by a certain degree or going down a few steps. So this relationship between the pentatonic scale, which is a very almost utopic, it's all inviting, every combination of notes sounds great together, wonderful. And the blues notes, depending on in which combination they are heard, can take the expression in many different directions at the same time. The quest is a type of striving. It's a type of reach, reaching out towards something, often in relationship to an energy or life force itself. So part of the weaving of this sculpture, the brass weaving, that in one sense could be seen to be holding the bits of timber together that might form a raft itself. You can see it suspended and reaching towards the light of the windows, which themselves are facing south. So it's continuing this, I don't want to say metaphor, but the story of the quest as a reach and the paradox of the raft, which is the vehicle that might take you there, and yet it's unraveling, in its process by reaching for this life force as well.